Welcome to Build or Buy. We meet almost every Wednesday from 1 to 3, where we talk about building, buying, and upgrading computers. For those of you that are online, thanks for joining us. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. Happy belated Thanksgiving. We got Christmas coming up, and looks like we got a slim crowd today, so I guess everybody's doing other things. Robert Duvernay, he's had his eyes dilated, and Ben's not going to be here next week. I see quite a few folks aren't here right now. Anybody take advantage of any of the deals over the holidays? Anybody? And remind everybody, if anybody has a comment or a question, please be sure and raise your hand so we can get a mic on you. So that way the folks online can also hear you. Where's, oh, here we go. Let's get a mic over here to John Lund, please. Thank you.
Yes, I bought a new printer. My old one was just getting feeble.
What'd you get?
I bought a Canon 9120, something like that. Should be a pretty good photo printer. Photographer, and I like something that turns out good photos, although I don't print a lot of them, but this is one with multiple ink tanks, so
you got an inkjet.
Yeah, an inkjet, and I don't have to buy a whole bunch of ink I don't want when I'm just running out of cyan. So,
have you ever used one of those online services before?
Online service for
to get your prints done instead of using.
Oh no, never thought of it. I guess I'm more of a hands-on person.
I hear what you're saying. I'm turned off against inkjet printers because I've wasted a lot of money on bad cartridges. Mm-hmm. And I got burned on HP and I got burned on Lexmark. And after the cartridges even timed out when the ink was still good, I said, I'm done with that. I remember one time we were at Comdex and somebody did the numbers and the calculation said, that's like buying a 55-gallon drum for $10,000. And that always stuck with me. So my thing since then has been I'm strictly a laser, black and white, and Canon is my first choice.
Yeah, I used to have a Canon a long time ago, and I was using both Windows and Linux. And after everything worked just fine, and then suddenly the Canon just stopped recognizing Linux, or vice versa. And Canon just doesn't deal with Linux. And since I used Linux a lot, I had to replace the Canon printer. But I no longer use Linux, and so I decided I'd go back to Canon because I was very happy with it other than that.
So did you get a good deal on it?
I think so. Yeah, it's about $50 off.
Where'd you buy it at?
Actually, Amazon. I did. And I could have bought it locally and saved like $20 on the machine, but I get free delivery, and a lot of the other stuff that I bought with it was a lot cheaper, so I just decided to go ahead and put it all in one package.
Was it one of their specials they had on?
Yeah, it wasn't, well, I don't know how much of a special it was. I was looking more for the quality of the machine and not the price, and I just found the machine I wanted and then scanned around and looking for price. And,
So what else did you get while you were at it?
Oh, it was some stuff not related to photography. So.
That reminds me, your sister was buying a new camera. Did she get delivery on that?
Last time I talked to her, she did not have it, and I guess I need to ask her if it has yet arrived, because it's like 9 months behind schedule or something like that.
Yes, it looked like a phenomenal camera. Yeah. And I was just wondering if it's shipping yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't know. Jack, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think if you want reasonable photo printing, you're going to have to stick with an inkjet, aren't you?
If you're going to do it yourself, yes.
Yeah.
You remember at one time?
I threw in the towel several years ago and got a color laser, inexpensive one from Brother that does
what you want.
Does everything, scan, fax, yada yada. and been very pleased with it. The photos from it stink, but I can put it online to Walgreens and 18 cents, and 3 blocks later I've got it. So.
Exactly, exactly. I like that. Even Adorama has a separate site that does photography for doing some amazing things. And there's a couple I've seen advertising on TV that you email them your stuff and they'll send back and tell you, here's what's going to cost to have whatever you want done. So it's interesting how that's changing.
Yeah, there's one that advertises, I think, a lifetime of free prints, just pay shipping and handling.
There used to be a company that advertised that when you would get the free film. I don't know whatever happened to that company. I don't know if they...
This may be what it morphed into, I don't know.
Could be, could be. Did anybody take advantage of any of the other deals that were online, that were going on?
Couldn't find what I was looking for.
What'd you get, Joe?
I upgraded my Snagit to the 2018 version.
They give you a good price?
I ended up paying under 20 bucks.
That's a good price. That's a good price. That's interesting. I was inundated with stuff. It was hard to, you had to stay focused. It was hard to pick one thing and stay with that, but just staying focused. I think the best deals that I saw were probably from Tom's Hardware. For example, the deal at Micro Center. Did y'all see that with the Threadripper? You had to go into the store. You could buy it online, but you couldn't have it shipped to you. You had to, if you wanted to buy it online, you had to go in the store and pick it up. The high-end Threadripper and a motherboard, first of all, you got a discount of $100 on the CPU, but if you bought it with a motherboard at the same time, you got an additional $30 discount. And I had a link up on Builder Buy that does not work anymore to one of those deals. Now, I need to change that to go to just the CPU, but that to me was phenomenal. And speaking of Threadripper, have you guys seen some of the stuff with laptops lately? The AMD Ryzen laptops? I mean, my favorite is the Asus Zen, like Nick got. I just think that nails it. This laptop I've got up here is what I consider a bang for the buck laptop. It's a little bit below that, but when this shipped, there's another laptop that's just become available that I didn't know at that time that's now shipping, and it is a new Asus. It's an Asus Republic of Gamers Strix, and it's got a Ryzen. Now, the first Ryzen laptop was a Ryzen 5, but this new one that Asus has is a Ryzen 7 desktop processor. Got to go to link up on Builder Buy. I can show it to you. $1,500.
What's the resolution?
I believe it does 1080. I don't think it does 4K. Let me go over here to another computer. Let's go to computer number 3, and let me see if I can bring that up, and I'll show you. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I'll go to Builder Buy. Now, this is some notes I put up for last week. First of all, have any of you guys looked at the videos and stuff we've got on YouTube lately? Anybody? You did? What'd you think, Greg? I've tried to lay it out where it's a little bit easier to navigate to see Builder Buy and also Builder Buy behind the scene, and also to find the stuff we did with Pat's Piano. And I hope Pat and Jim are okay. I noticed they're not here today either. But the reason I mention that, these notes that are right now in Builder Buy are for what I did last week. I did a little something about that laptop. I also did something in addition to that, which was another video I did about an unboxing of this laptop here I want to share with you. And some of the stuff I'm going to talk about, I want to use this as a way to jump into what we're going to do next week, because next week will be the first Wednesday, building, buying, and upgrading, where we clone, image, or backup. And I'm going to use this laptop to talk about what's necessary. First of all, like creating your rescue disks. So maybe Manolo will be with us next week. So over here to Builder Buy, I'm going to show you this other laptop. I'll go down here to talking points, and it's an Asus Republic of Gamers Strix. I'll hold down the control key and bring that link up. I've seen one other place that has shown this for sale, but all they say is it's not available yet. You can order it, but it's not available to ship. When I first found this, all it said was here from Asus, we'll email you when it's available. Now it says add to cart. And this is an Asus Republic of Gamers Strix, Ryzen 7 1700. We built 2 Ryzens up here. I built one, Lou built one. The processor that's in this laptop is the same processor that Lou has in her desktop. And I remember we used the Gigabyte Aorus motherboard. And she's got the same processor that's now in this laptop. 17-inch, RX 580 Radeon graphics, 16 gigs of memory, DDR4, a 256 gig SSD, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. I think this has an IPS, yes, IPS panel. It's also got an HDMI, and I believe, not sure what the other port was, seemed like it was mini. Go back up here and see where on the specs. I know it has HDMI, and I want to think the other one was mini display port. Thought that had the specs up here on the top. That changes the way that looks. Let me scroll down here and find it. So that means you can plug in, that says display port or HDMI. I didn't think that was a full-size display port. It may be. But there's a lot of computer there. If you're going to do rendering or photography, that would be a great machine. Now what amazes me now here it says there's an M.2 SSD in there, but it does not say NVMe. So I wonder if that's even shipping yet. Oh, here it is, mini display port. 3 USB 3, 1 USB 3.1, Type C, 1 HDMI, 1 mini display port, headphone mic jack, and an RJ45 port for gigabit. But it's a 1080 screen, it's not 4K. But if I were going to do video, that would be a nice machine. It's interesting down here, it shows a 256 gig SSD. Let me come in on that a little bit. And the hard drive is a 1 terabyte 5400 RPM. I don't know why they would build such a big computer with such a nice processor and put such a lame hard drive in there. I don't get that. And it's also got wireless in it.
Well, it's storage for one thing. It's not active, you know.
Well, but even the 256 gig SSD, I would have thought they'd have put a bigger one in there for a boot drive, like a 512, like Nick has in the Asus Zen. The battery is 76 watt hours. It's a 4-cell. Do you remember the battery life you have on yours, Nick? I'm not sure either. I wish I had PDF'd those specs because I cannot go back to Costco where that was available. And if you go looking for an Asus Zen 4K, you will not find it with a 17-inch screen. Only thing I can find is on a 15-inch screen, which I find kind of interesting. So I'm either going to have to get to yours or to Lou's, and I'm going to interrogate it with BellaArt so I can extrapolate those specs, because that laptop was phenomenal. But nothing has come up on that since this. Those laptops were $1,275. This is $1,500. And I've seen a lot of laptops, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, that I don't think measure up. Now, this one I've got up here is an HP Envy 17. And I'm going to go back over here to Build or Buy, and I'll show you a link on that. And I originally was looking at this and comparing this with 3 different laptops, 17-inch display, 16 gigs of memory, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. And I've always said, when you get a new computer, what you need to do is interrogate it. So the first thing I did was I run BellaArt Advisor on it, told me the hard drive, the brand. That's the most information I got. As far as the specs on the memory, there's 2 slots in there. They are full. Because what I also did, and I wanted Manolo to know this, the product serial number, the computer can find it with the software. And I took that product serial number, and since this is HP, went to HP Part Surfer, plugged in that serial number, popped up and told me everything I wanted to know about that laptop. Now, the specifications from Intel for the processor says that processor will support 32 gigs of RAM. However, for the
Go ahead, I don't want to interrupt you. I just want to pick up some stuff.
It's okay. For the processor, I like the cores that are in there for the money. This was an $800 laptop. and I like what it has on it. I expected, because of what Intel says about the processor, that I could upgrade to 32 gigs of RAM. According to the information I found out, which I don't fully rely upon from HP, they says it'll only go to 16 gigs of RAM. So I went to Kingston's site to interrogate the computer. They could not interrogate it. They said, we don't have that computer listed. So I went to Crucial. I said, okay, let's let Crucial interrogate it. They said, we don't have any information on that computer either. So because it's so new, nobody can tell me beyond what I already know. And there are the other tools I ran to take a look at to tell me about the RAM. But all those do is look at the SPD on the memory stick. So I know there's 16 gigs in there. I think it'll support 32, but I wouldn't know till I open it. But it's not worth opening it until I find out if I can put a better drive in. It's got a 1 terabyte hard drive in it, 7,200 RPM. So I know I can put an SSD. What I would like to know is, can I put an M.2? Other models within that range, it's possible, but I don't know if this one can. And according to the information I got from HP that told me what was in it, I don't know. I would not know until I open it. And we've seen laptops before that says it only supports so much RAM. Still, you can change it. So as it is, that's a great laptop for the money, for $800. But if I want to upgrade it, only thing I know I can do is an SSD. And if I want to do more with other RAM or an M.2, that'd be an upgrade maybe 6 months down the road. There was one right below this, $100 less, half the cores, half the threads. Jim.
I'm looking at a Lenovo Yoga 920. It has 16 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte NVMe hard drive.
Where at?
This is through Sam's or Lenovo, and I also there's one at Best Buy, but the Best Buy one has a 500 gig drive.
A 500 gig, is it an NVMe?
I'm nearly certain all of them are NVMe's. There is no conventional drive. It's all it's a 1 terabyte solid state Samsung drive. It's not a 960. I want to call it a 961. There's one that they sell for manufacturers.
Yes.
I don't know the model number.
We've looked at that before in the past. Send me the link on it. We'll take and put it up on screen. How much is it?
$1,700.
$1,700. Oh yes, send me the link. Send it to either email address.
Okay.
Either G Boyd. Just tell me where you're going to send it to, because it goes to different computers. Either send it to G Boyd or send it to Fairhaven, UMC.
Okay.
Which one are you going to send it to?
Which one do you want me to send it to?
Just tell me where you're going to send it.
Okay, I'll send it to G Boyd.
Which one?
G Boyd.
Okay. Pick your take.
While he's sending, I just wanted
Yes.
to add one note about the printer.
Yes.
I got the printer yesterday. While I set it up, and then I got online to Canon to download whatever, user manuals and so on that they had in Canon that weren't included in the box. And I discovered just by chance that Canon, I could have bought the thing from Canon for $25 less, buying it directly from the manufacturer.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was looking at some stuff for Canon. I'm on the list of emails for Canon, and some of the stuff they sent I wasn't interested in, but I thought I'm going to go check and see what's on their website. And I found out about a new video camera that I had not seen anything from anybody about. But the point I'm telling you this is, while I was there, I found some other stuff, and I found the same thing. I could buy it cheaper direct than going through one of the vendors. I thought, I need to start paying more attention to the vendor site.
I did not compare shipping costs, though. It could have been, it could have wiped out any savings.
Two things to consider: shipping costs as well as tax. Because if you buy it from the manufacturer, they're going to hit you for tax.
Might be. Anyway.
Whereas if you buy it from one of the vendors, like B&H or somebody online, no tax. And that's one of the things with stuff with Amazon. Used to you didn't get hit up with tax on Amazon, but since Amazon's got a presence in Texas, you get hit with tax.
Well, when I buy from Amazon, if it's something that's practical to do so, I look who not just the price of the thing, but who am I actually buying it from? Where is it being shipped from?
Yeah,
if it's being shipped from some third party, maybe there's no tax.
Yeah, but then again, I'm always concerned about the warranty because
Well,
some
that's true.
stuff, for example, a laptop, I tell folks, whatever you buy, hardware, keep all your packaging at least 30 days, preferably 45, because if you change your mind, you got to send it back. They want that packaging. Joe?
Keep the packaging till the warranty runs out.
Till the warranty runs out, which means if you've got a 1-year warranty, keep that, because if you have to send it in, it's got to go back in that packaging. I know Gigabyte's a big sticking point with that on the motherboards. It's got to go back in that box. Don't want to find out the hard way. So like Joe said, yes.
Well, since John Lum was speaking, you all know he rebuilt his computer, so he no longer uses rotating drives. Well, he has a hard drive docking station, USB 3.0 dual bay. Where'd you put it, John? Oh, right here on the corner? That he's giving away in the drawing today, so make sure you stick around for the drawing. I think it's it's that white box. Yeah.
And what is that?
It's
Wavelink?
It's a Wavelink USB 3.0 dual bay hard disk drive docking station.
Two-slice toaster.
Huh?
Two-slice toaster.
Two-slice toaster.
What Robert would say.
Okay, good to know. Thanks. Okay, so did you send that link?
Yes.
You got to turn that on for it to work.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. There it is, Lenovo. Let's take a look. Let's bring that up. Computer number 2. Thank you. Okay, so this is 1196. I thought you said it was more than that.
Well, yeah, I did. That's because that's the small one. Going in where it says View Models.
View models.
To the left.
Okay, we'll take the link, view models.
Now, over on the right-hand side, those are the two with the 1 terabyte drive and 16 gigs.
Look at the size of the screen.
Well, see, I like the small because of the portability. It weighs 3 pounds. I like the one you showed me a while ago, except for this weight issue. You know, when you actually haul things like this around on an airplane, well, it's 3 pounds is better than 7.
I've been hauling a desktop around for a long time, so you got better eyes than I do.
You're younger than I am.
Okay, you got an 8550U. That's a good processor, 1.8 gigahertz. The 8550U, I believe, is 4 cores.
That's right.
4 cores, 8 threads. Windows 10 Home, 64-bit. 14-inch screen. It's IPS, multi-touch. You got an integrated camera. My gosh, look at that resolution. 16 gigs of RAM, DDR4 2400. Okay, a 1 terabyte PCI Express SSD. So we know it's a M.2. We don't know if it's NVMe. No optical, 1-year warranty. Intel graphics, the 620. And there's a couple of models above that. Bluetooth. It's got a fingerprint reader. What's the difference in these two?
Well, the two on the right, it's color. The two on the left are smaller. 5, I'll have to get back up there. I was going to talk to you about the weaknesses.
One, well, they're both Yoga 920. One's platinum silver and the other one's bronze.
Right. But the two on the right are the ones with the 1 terabyte drive and the 16 gigs. The two on the left are 8 gigs of RAM and 512 gig drive.
Okay, I wasn't looking at the two on the left. They've got yeah, the first one has a slower processor, an 8250. Then you get an 8550 in these other three. 8 gigs of memory on the first two, 16 gigs of memory on the other two. So 256, 512, 1 terabyte, and 1 terabyte. So the only difference in these other two is the color. One's platinum silver and the other one's bronze. Interesting.
I was going to talk to you all about the weaknesses, or like I'm worried, because one of the things I like about this one, it has an SDXC card reader built in.
Yeah.
This one only has, well, it has one USB 3 port and two USB-C Thunderbolt ports.
Are you looking at the tech specs?
Yeah, further up,
Let's check the tech specs. The tech specs say 8550, Windows 10 Home, 14-inch display, integrated graphics. The the camera is 720 HD, 16 gigs of DDR4. Don't know if you can upgrade it, but the processor says yes. Storage, 1 terabyte. Still doesn't tell us. You'd have to interrogate the machine and find out. Okay, USB 3, 2 USB-C that supports Thunderbolt.
right.
Our power delivery and display port. Nice. Wireless AC, platinum, bronze, or copper. Still doesn't tell me what I want to know.
I've read elsewhere it is an NVMe drive. I can't find it on here, but it,
Okay. And I'm surprised because this is at Lenovo's site. So I'm going to back out of that and go back to the link you showed me. And it's not going to go back. Wow. So we'll view the current models, which is these 4. And you're thinking about one of these 2, the platinum, silver, or the bronze.
yeah.
So which one are you thinking about?
Well, the silver one, I was just wanting to talk about the specs, or what you guys would have to say about those limited ports. I know, you guys like bigger screens on these things than I do, but again, the weight is my issue.
Well, it's like anything you take. You look at a laptop and you say, okay, what are the 5 most important things you're looking for in a laptop? If you change one of those things, you change everything, and it flips it upside down. Now, for me, if I go to some place like Costco, the first thing I'm looking at is a 17-inch screen. But it all goes to what you're going to use it for. And for what you're going to use it for, it makes sense. You need something that's portable. For what I'm going to use it for, I need a larger display because I'm more concerned about not having to have a separate monitor. Even though I need to be able to plug it into a monitor, because right now we're using that laptop up on the screen, I need to see what's going on. If I want to use it on the switch, I can use it as another controller in addition. And I forgot to hook up the switch for you guys. I'll do that next week. Sorry, ran out of time. Out of a million things that had to be done, we had to have some extra tables, and I had to make a call on that. And I had like 4 restarts, so I'll have the switch next week. It's over here, still in the box. It's ready. I just didn't get it done. Sorry. So back to the laptop. Depending on the things that are important to you, I think the processor is the place to be. I wouldn't go less. The amount of storage is on there that's great. For me, the size of the screen would be a deal killer. But for you, it's just what you need because you travel, and you can plug a monitor into it. I would want to verify the specs, what it doesn't show here, if there's some other place I could look at, and I'm surprised since it's on Lenovo's site, it doesn't give that. You think it has an SD card reader on it?
No, it does not have.
Okay, but the one
In other words, the one I have now has a card reader, and I got hooked on it
Yeah.
because this is the first one I've had that you could just plug them in. That's just very nice to have.
I agree.
It's one more thing to carry. See,
Well, it's funny. If you have an external card reader, every time you want to plug memory into it, you have to disconnect and plug it back in when you stick a new memory card in it. That's annoying. That's what I have to do on the desktop. Every time I pull a new card in and out, when you go and tell it to shut it down.
you have to tell it to eject.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but you not only eject the card, you have to pull the device from the USB port and plug it back in and then stick in a new card. It's a hassle.
Interesting. I do that at home, but I never. I just got used to doing this.
Yeah. This laptop also has a card reader on it. These cameras all take SD cards. So I'm afraid that I'm going to get hooked on it too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because there's nothing to disconnect. You disconnect the memory, you pull it out and stick another in, keep going. And once it's in the computer, then it's easy to transfer through the network.
With my home machine, I have to take it out anyway because I have to pull it out and look at it carefully to make sure I have it plugged in correctly, the card.
Well, there's a top and a bottom. I hear you. I do the same thing with the cameras. I make sure I plug it on the right side. Shiny side down, shiny side up. Okay, let's go back over to that computer. So this is the one you're going to get. So you think you'll have it next week when you come in?
Well, I don't know. I haven't quite made up my mind, but I think I probably will, yeah.
So what brand is the laptop you have right now?
It's a Lenovo. This is my second one, and really, this is a reliable machine. It's just slow as molasses.
How old is it?
It's 3 or 4 years old. I don't remember which for sure. It's the complaint I have is this miserable keyboard and what the place of the mouse. In that first Lenovo I had, you could use the mouse pad, and it was easy to use. This one, you might as well forget about it. And I went with my mouse that I'm not going to be able to take an Anchor mouse because I'll have to have one that'll, read without using a card.
Have you seen the surface of this new one to see how the keyboard is laid out?
Yeah, I've seen 910 keyboards. They're in the stores, but that's that was the first thing I looked at because I would not want another keyboard like this. See, Lenovo used to have great keyboards, but apparently they have great keyboards on their top-end ones and crummy keyboards on their low-end ones.
How much was that laptop 3 or 4 years ago?
This was like $1,000. It might have been $1,100, might have been $900. You know how they go back and forth with you, but it was more or less $1,000. And it has a 1 terabyte drive, and it has a little bitty boot drive that no longer works. That's another complaint about this.
Well, that sucks. Have you done anything to try to upgrade it, or you decided to
I have an extended warranty, and I went round and round with them on the phone, and I've had Joe look at it, and I've researched it, and I can't get it to work. They say it's a software problem, and they charge me for that. They've come out to the house to replace 2 keyboards, by the way, so it's difficult to get mad at them too much because they actually will send somebody out to the house to work on it for the price of that warranty. But that hard drive that doesn't work, they won't fix that, or they'll charge me for that, and so I said forget it.
They're going to charge you extra for that, even though you have an extended warranty.
Exact.
How long was your warranty that you got at the time? A 3-year warranty or a 2-year?
I suspect it was 4. I don't honestly remember.
How much was it? Do you remember that?
No, I sure don't.
Are you going to get an extended warranty on this one as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I agree. You can't complain too much.
If they'll come out to the house, I figure that ain't all bad.
I agree. And you didn't have to fix coffee for them either.
Didn't hear what you said.
You didn't have to fix coffee for them either.
That's right.
Not bad. Can't beat that. Well, this one over at Costco, let me go back over here to computer number 2. Oh, excuse me, computer number 3. Yeah, let's go back to computer number 3. This HP that I was showing you guys, thank you. This is $800. It was good through they've changed the date. This is supposed to be good through like the 27th or 28th. Today's the 29th. Now they've got the date through 12/4, or while supplies last. As I said, looking at several of them, I thought this was bang for the buck. It's not up to the specs of what Nick Streeter and Lou and Andrew and somebody else bought. To me, this is a low-end bang for the buck. But at the time, this other laptop that I'm telling you about, first of all, the Asus Zen is not available, but this Asus Republic of Gamers did not exist when I ordered that. Now, I think that's going to be a smoking laptop, strictly because of the processor. And if it can be upgraded, swap out that 256 gig SSD for like at least a 512, then we're talking something serious. I can render with it, so I can edit video, I can render video with it, I can use it to run the switch with, I can do audio, it'll do anything I want. But when I was looking at this other one, bang for the buck, this HP Envy, we went through that with Manolo when he wanted to get a new laptop and said, what do you think? So I sent him the link on this because I said, I think this will do what you want for $800. It's bang for the buck. All the stuff I've talked about, he's not going to do. He wants to be able to do email. He wants to be able to browse the internet. He's got a screen big enough he can see what he's going to do. I think it'll do what he wants. And like I said, I hope he was going to be here because I wanted to show him how to find more information about this. Let's go back over here to computer number 2 for just a minute. Computer number 2. Okay. Computer number 2. There we go. Now I'm going to pull up BellArc Advisor on here. And this was able to it was able to tell me the serial number, which I pulled from the program from HP, but it also tells me the BIOS. I checked that out, and I do have the most current BIOS on here. That was a concern of mine. And it shows me the C drive, shows me the burner. It's interesting that it says it's a HP drive, and it shows me the hard drive in here is an HGST. So I was able to pull the information up on that drive, and I know the specs. But as far as the amount of memory in here, the RAM, it just says bottom slot left 1, bottom slot 2 right. 2 8-gig sticks of memory. So I don't know if I can upgrade that to 16 or not. I mean from 16 to 32, which would be 2 16-gig sticks. I don't know that I can, but I think I can. But that's not something I think Manolo will want to deal with or have to deal with. The only thing he might want to do is to change out the hard drive. And I've looked at the instructions on what it says and how to pull it. And what I did, I'm going to show you right quick on the hard drive. I went ahead and PDF'd all the information about the drive so that I would know at a glance. Let's see, I'll find where I put it. I have a structure for the network, and I haven't networked with this yet. But I PDF'd the specs from Costco. I have the PDF on the hard drive. I have the product specifications from HP because I wanted to know specifically what this model was. And if you're trying to find the details, this is an HP Envy 17U275CL. Shows the processor, 8550. And of course, I can go take that number, which is the 8550 from let me pull up the specs again on Costco's site. And I'm going to go down here to the processor, which is on the bottom right here on the left. Intel Core 8550, right click and Google. And I'm going to go to the, not the ARC site, but the second one, which is the i7-8550U, which is the same processor you're going to have, Jim, in that laptop of yours. Because this tells us the part number, the launch date, Q3 of 17. Also shows us the maximum turbo frequency, and it shows the number of cores and number of threads. And to me, that's the most important part. Four cores, 8 threads. And I think that's a good place to be. So I go back to BellArc, and I've got this information on the drive. I can go search that. I've already done it. I'll show you what I've got on the drive. I'll go back over to my PDF files because I wanted to make sure what we had in here. 1 terabyte, 7200 RPM. So I know I can change that out. And the rest of the specs I had, the service guide, but right here from Part Surfer. This is what's in that machine. So I know I've got DDR4 2400. And that spec right there. What I did was, because it's an HP, went to Start Programs, and I'm going to go down to HP, Help and Support, and I believe I used the HP Support Assistant. And by calling up the HP Support Assistant, it interrogates the machine, and it'll tell me what's on it. So I went to my notebook, HP Envy, clicked on that. I don't need troubleshooting. What I'm looking for is specifications. But if you notice here on the bottom, it shows the serial number and the product number. See if I can get this to come up a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, now all I have to do is click on that product number or the serial number, copy to the clipboard. So I did that. I'll go back over to the browser. Now I'll go look for HP Part Surfer. Go to HP Part Surfer. Enter part, product, or serial number. So I'm going to enter the serial number, do a search on it. Oh, got to select a region. Let's go to the US. United States. Thank you. Now let's search. So we're actually getting two things out of this. One, the parts we need for this. Two, once we have this list, this is a reason to use the PDF printer driver. And I'm waiting for it to come up. This usually comes up a little bit quicker. But this list, I've already PDF'd. And that's this list right here. And that's handy to have. And if I need some of these parts, in other words, be very careful. Some of these parts are kind of fragile and kind of expensive. This doesn't show prices, but I can drill down and find that information. But I PDF'd this, so I have access to all that information. And I pulled up the service guide to see how involved it would be to get into the back of this thing. And that's not something I want to do anytime soon. Removal and replacement procedures.
Gil?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to say a couple of years ago when I was having troubles with this, well, I went to YouTube, and again, when the guy was coming out to the house, they made a point of saying you better have everything backed up. And I was trying to figure out how to take this hard drive out and clone it before they got there. In YouTube, I found instructions for how to take this thing apart, take the hard drive out. And I'm suggesting that you can probably do that with the one you're talking about.
The same thing is possible. What I was going to show you was in these instructions. It talks about how to do that. There's a removal and replacement procedure. There's a picture in here that shows that. Shows the parts catalog. Yeah, Joe.
Why would you want to take the hard drive out to clone it? Why not clone it where it is?
Well, because
they were coming to work on it?
Not just that. The Lenovo I had before, I found that you couldn't clone from the laptop to the outside drive and then put it back in to make a boot drive out of it. I don't know why, but I just made the assumption this is the same way on this one. I don't know why, but I'm telling you,
You're saying you couldn't clone the drive that's in the computer to an external hard drive?
And then put that external drive back in here and make it boot.
Okay. You can do it, but what you have to do is put in your Windows disk first and repair the boot up section. It's looking for serial numbers of the hard drive, and you've changed that by putting it out here. So it's not the same serial number or same specs hard drive. But yeah, you can do that.
You can do that.
Well, there's a picture in here that shows how to do that I was going to show you, and I can't find it quickly, so I'm not going to waste any more time on it, but it's in there. Anyway, and that's something else I wanted to get into. Let's go back over to that computer right quick. I'm going to, thank you. Start. We'll go to HP, help and support, right there. HP Recovery Media. Now, I'm not going to click on that. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. But that's something everyone should do, is create their recovery media. Now, when I do create the recovery media, that's for the purpose of recovering the drive from that media, which means everything I've changed, this will throw it back to the default. When this machine shipped, when I turned it on, my version of Windows was 1703. As soon as I got on the internet and said, let's see what's going on, it offered me 1709. So everything I've done, if I create that recovery media and have to use it, would be gone. It'd be starting all over. And there's a recovery partition. Let me show you that too. Let me go back over here to the drive. I'll bring up Explorer, this PC, and there's my recovery partition. And if I click on it, there's an application I can execute for recovery. So I can recover the machine from the recovery disks. I can also recover the machine with this application. It's a good idea to have both. And this got me really thinking about this, talking to Ben probably, I guess it was 3 weeks ago we were talking about it. Because you got your recovery disks, you've got your installed disks, then you got your clone imager backup, how you want to get into that. And some of the stuff we talk about, I'm always doing it on a desktop, but I need to start showing how this works on a laptop. So that was another reason I want to go ahead and do this with this bang for the buck laptop, unless I get my hands on one like Nick's got later. But this has a USB 3.1C port on it, so that's another advantage that if I'm going to clone image or backup, if I don't do that image to the existing drive, I'll put it to the fastest port I have access to, which is that USB-C port. And then I can clone to another hard drive or whatever. And that might be a reason, because if I'm thinking about changing anything on this, for example, I'm going to bring up the desktop. So I'm going to display, doesn't matter anything, go to home. I'm going to look at system. I'm going to scroll down about, and I can see here what I have. And I'll zoom in on that. Okay, we have Windows 64-bit processor. And right there we have Windows 10 Home 1709, 16299.64. This is Windows 10 Home. I would prefer to have Windows 10 Pro. If I choose to go to Pro, my options available to me would be, one, to activate this Windows, which I did because that license key is on Microsoft Server. So my options to me that if I put in another drive, I could either do a clean install of Windows 10 Home, key's already active, or if I decide to put in that new drive and go to Windows 10 Pro, this would be the time to do it on a new drive. But that's a new key. And supposedly that still works until the end of the year, December. So I've got some options open to me. I'm not really excited about what it's going to take to open the back of this drive up. I've got several Torx screws that I have to remove to get into it. But these are some of the things that we need to talk about and think about, because clone image and backup needs to be done. And whether I do this to a spinning drive, which is inexpensive, less than $100, or to an SSD, which would be about $300, if I clone it, you know, it's what's the end game? What's the end game? For example, Jim, that laptop you have right now, have you cloned, imaged, or backed up?
Yes, but not in the way I just talked about. I just plain cloned it because to get the data off. I have a disk from Lenovo to put another one on there now.
To put another disk on there?
Right. In other words, this one, I've got the data off, and I'm not too worried about it now.
We know it's interesting, pulling the data off a machine. It's not as complicated as it sounds. Most people put all their data in the default location. Very few people go through the trouble of creating the structure like I do, because networking is what I do. I don't want my stuff attached. For example, when I set this machine up, I didn't set this up with an online account, with a Microsoft account. I have one, but I set this up with an offline account. I want all that stuff separate. I do that for a reason. But even my data, let me show you. Most everybody's data is in one place. Let me zoom back out. I go to this PC, I go to the C drive, users. Very few people use the public folder. Everything with the user is going to be in the user folder. So if I right click on that, whatever this is for what's on this machine, it's going to be under a terabyte, 832 megs. That'll fit on a memory stick. So it's not that big a deal to copy your data onto something else. I can plug in a USB 3 drive and I'll be up and running. So it's all about the end game. There's a process. But it's still good because remember, when you have a problem with a computer, you're not thinking logically, you're thinking emotionally. It's like when the network goes down, you're trying to think, how do I get to the network to check it to get in my router? That's why I bookmark all that stuff in advance on a browser, so I don't have to go looking, I don't have to go fumbling, I don't have to go thinking. It's just 1, 2, 3, I do it. Same thing with cloning, imaging, and backup. It's good to have all these safety nets, parachutes, in case you got to jump, you got someplace to land, and you're not scrambling on the phone. Ben?
I'm going to change the subject for a bit.
Sure.
Looking at the Windows 10, I had an experience last week with Microsoft. I shut my, early in the morning, I was finished using my computer and I shut it down.
Aha.
And of course, up it came, you're going to get some revisions and do not cut off your computer. So I sat there for about 5 minutes and it said, kept coming up, this may take a few minutes, don't shut off your computer. Well, I had to leave, so I left.
And your power profile was for your computer to shut down. That's a paradox, isn't it?
So I left, and I came back 10 hours later, and it was still rumbling away.
Nothing had happened.
Nothing had happened. Still, so it'll take a few minutes, don't shut off your computer. So I shut it off, but what I'm getting at here is that after that 10-hour drive, my version didn't change. My version of Windows didn't change. I'm still on 1703.
All you got were just some little point updates. I've had that happen on several machines. I find it quite, I don't know, fascinating, annoying, irritating, because you think all this time we're waiting for grass to grow and nothing happened. I've had that on the Intel NUC. I've had that on a couple of desktops that are FX machines.
Well, my question is, why didn't my computer get version 1709 on it instead of when I got 1703 on it?
That's not a question that's easy to answer because I don't understand the rhyme or reason to it.
Okay.
For example, here Joe has an 8-year-old laptop and he got 1709 on it. Yes, sir. Got a mic? Where's the mic?
Yeah, I had the same problem. I've got 1703.
Yes.
And it has messed up a whole bunch of software on my machine now, and everybody wants money to fix it.
Well, I would suggest then you go to updates and manually download 1709.
Okay, because you can't, they want money for me to download it off the internet.
Hey, what?
They want money for me to download it off the internet.
Wait a minute, who wants money?
Microsoft.
No. You're running 1703 right now?
1703. It was a brand new
1709?
update, 6 weeks ago.
No.
Oh, no. Just tell me, just go up there. Can you put mine up here?
Let's put number 1 up on the screen. Computer number 1. Computer, thank you. Thank you.
Just go here to Windows Updates in your settings and update settings, advanced. See, mine says updates are available and
Let's see, Windows malicious software removal tool and a cumulative update for 1709. Let's see, what you had was a cumulative update for 1703, Ben.
yeah.
Now, the other thing you might want to do, I don't know why they're trying to charge you for 1709 because you've got 1703 on there. Well, I agree he's not on a Microsoft site. What I would suggest is to manually download it to a USB stick.
Yeah.
And then force the install. The reason for waiting is they may not think your machine is ready for some driver issue. And the 3 driver issues that have always been a problem have been, number 1, the network, Number 2, something with audio, which involves the HDMI. And number 3, something with the video, which again interacts with the HDMI. Those two are closely associated. But you can force the install by creating the install disk. You know how to do that?
Okay. I don't have a disk drive on this machine.
Okay,
You don't have a disk drive?
I don't have a.
No, but you got a thumb drive, right?
Yeah, I can get one of those.
Yeah. Then just download it and use the thumb drive as your disk
Okay.
drive.
All right, I'll do that.
Why do you need the thumb drive? Just go
Well, if,
to drive and do it straight off the internet?
except he said download it and manually do it, which means you gotta store it someplace.
He's got to go to the right site.
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft,
can we get a mic over here on Dwayne so we can hear him?
I updated all.
I updated all 3 machines directly off the internet, just going to a Microsoft site, update it to 1709. Or they all 3 updated directly without downloading to any thumb drive at all. It's very easy.
Yeah, it is. But
What does the thumb drive get you? That
safety,
what safety of what?
portability, like he says, if you have a problem, you can put the thumb drive back in and start all over again.
Or start all over again from the web. I mean, you know, obviously, you know.
Maybe, yeah. Anyway, I would say download it and do it manually. And if it says, if it says right here, it says, couldn't find a good time to install your updates, you know, just hit down and restart now. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, if you want to force an install, the site you're looking for is the download Windows 10. You can do what I suggested, or you can do what Dwayne said. And that's where you were, and they wanted to charge you? You said they wouldn't do it. Okay. Windows 10 Fall Creators Update now available. The Update Assistant can help you update to the latest version of Windows. To get started, click Update Now. Number 2, create Windows 10 installation media. Download the tool. I'm going to do that. I have a memory stick on me. I'm going to pull this memory stick, and I need to double check and see what's on it. We're having a time with that today. Let me check this memory stick. Thanks, Jack. Let's see what's on this memory stick right quick. Okay, this stick was set up for x86 and 64-bit. So it's good to go like it is. Okay, if I download the tool, I'm going to go through the process. I've already had it on the hard drive before, but I'm going to download the media creation tool. I'm going to save that. So I'm going to go find the media creation tool, which is now on my hard drive. I'm going to execute that. Getting a few things ready. Now, this is supposed to still be able to be done for a machine that you're trying to do a free install on. In other words, you have a key. Well, you don't need a key because your key is already on your machine because you have 1703. And all you want to do is go to 1709. So it's a free upgrade. Like Dwayne said, it sounded like you were on not on a Microsoft site, but you said you were on this site. So I'm saying do this, and I'm going to create this stick. So I'm going to accept this license. And it's going to go through and says getting ready, getting a few things ready. Give it a couple of minutes. It's going to interrogate. And what I'm going to do is create a generic stick. I'm not going to create, but here's the option you got. It's a choice you can make. upgrade this PC now or create installation media. Because I may put it on more than one machine, I'm going to create the installation media. So if I need to do it to another machine, I'm good to go. For example, he's not here today. Somebody else had to have help getting Windows installed, so I let him borrow this stick to get the new version of Windows on his machine because he didn't have internet connection to give him enough speed at the house. So I said, well, what you need is on this stick. This will do what you need. Upgrade this PC now and create installation media. I'm going to create the media. So I'm going to click on Next. Language by default is English. Edition Windows 10, architecture 64-bit. Use the recommended options for this PC. Thanks, Nick. See you next week. Okay. Good luck at the doctor. Now, if I remove that check mark, then I can get to this access this other menu. See, I remove that check mark. That's no longer grayed out. I've got Windows 10 English, which I'm going to stick with, but I can do the 64-bit and the 32-bit. I don't need the 32-bit. I'm not doing that anymore. I did it in the beginning. So I'm sticking with the recommended options for this PC. All the machines I do are 64-bit. But I just wanted to show you the options. I'm going to click on Next. Now this is important for the data store to have the ISO file, but also the USB flash drive. If your machine can boot from a USB flash drive, then that's what I do. If your machine cannot boot from a USB flash drive, then you want the ISO. The ISO burns the ISO, which is an ISO file, to the disk. You then take that ISO and burn that to a CD, DVD, whatever. And it says here, you'll need to burn the ISO file to a DVD later. So I'm going to stick with the USB flash drive. I'm going to click on Next, and it shows my drives. And I'm going to pick, see, I've got removable drives on here, a 2 terabyte, a 5 terabyte. I'm going to that ESD USB. This has been done before, but it's going to be done again so we can show this live. I'm going to click on Next, and I've chosen the media, which is the USB stick. Getting a few things ready. Progress is 0%. And this is going to create installation media so that I can then put Windows on a machine. This is what I'd suggest you do. If you do it while you're up here, do you have a memory stick? Well, if you did, you could do it here. We have good bandwidth. Do you have good bandwidth at home?
How much memory do you need to do this?
How much memory do you need to do this? Good question, John. Remember, folks, if you have a question or comment, raise your hand so we can get a mic on you. Joe, how much space do you need?
4 gig.
An 8 gig memory stick will do.
Yeah, more than enough.
8 gig will do both. And remember, this is using FAT32. So if you try to use a larger memory stick, don't get too big of a memory stick because it's not going to be able to read it correctly. And you'll get an error. It'll go through and you'll get an error. So you got to take the technology and match it according to the size of the drive because this is going to be FAT32. So we're going to download Windows 10, progress 9%. Feel free to keep using the PC. Yeah. So when that gets finished, we're going to have a memory stick that we can install Windows 10 from. Now, what build is going to be on here? I don't know. My expectation is it will be 1709. But what we're doing could be 1703. What I'll have to do is go look at the disk and compare. Because when you create the Windows, when you download that tool, the tool size varies according to the version of Windows when you downloaded it. And it downloads a build accordingly. And since 1709 has come out, I haven't checked this. But you shouldn't have to pay for 1709. You've already got 1703 on there. So do I need to finish this? Yeah. We'll finish it then. While it's working, we can do other things. I'm going to take a look at the media creation tool that's in the background. I'm going to right click on this and do properties and see if this will tell me what I'm looking for. Details. The file version, I'd have to go check the file version. There's information on one of Microsoft's sites that'll tell us. But right now, just looking at it, I have no idea which version I'm going to get. All I know is file version 10.0.16299.15.
You got an older version then.
This is an older version?
That's what I had on here before. I just did this update just now, and it changed mine to 0.64.
Interesting. The media creation tool?
No, Windows 10. Remember I had it showing, it said, couldn't find a time to upgrade.
Yes.
So I said upgrade now or restart now.
Yes.
So it downloaded everything, installed it, it's back up, and now my OS build is 16.299.64. What'd you put on there?
I put yours up. You're up on screen. 1709.
Yeah, 0.299.64.
Interesting.
This is the latest.
I've got another machine here I'm going to look at right quick. I'm going to see what it tells.
So that OS build number should be
Can we get a mic on Jack so we can hear him, please? Thank you.
So that OS build number, that's on Windows 10 itself, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that should be the same, that number should match the download tool
The media
version
creation.
number?
No, I don't know that.
Is that
I
what
don't
we're
know
trying
that.
to say?
I didn't say that. I said I upgraded my Windows 10
Okay,
just by going through there and say upgrade Windows 10,
right.
and it upgraded it to 0.64.
Okay, if I go do a search for Windows Media Creation Tool, I get the link to download the Windows 10 disk image ISO or create installation media. But there's another site that gives the version. And I'm looking for the version. I don't see it. What version of Windows 10 is the Media Creation Tool giving? I don't know. Because this takes us to what we've got, and if we did the upgrade now, it should be the free upgrade.
Right now, what version do you have on here?
This has 1709.
I know, but what
LaPointe, let me check.
build?
$16,299.64.
Yeah, that's the same one I was. So you got
Same
the
thing.
latest there.
And the media creation tool said this was 16,299 dot.
I think you said 1.5.
5.4,
5.4.
or 1.5 maybe, I don't know.
$16,299.15. So let me go back to this machine. Okay, $16,299. See if I can find it. 16299.15. It's not giving me the stuff. I'll put in the other numbers, 10.0. No, there's a site that tells this information, but I'm not finding it. Wasn't planning on doing that today.
But if you're going to try this when you go home, get to this page right here, and the line below 16299.64, it says change product key or upgrade your edition of Windows. So if you click on that, it should try to take it from 1.5 to 6.4. It did on mine just in a few minutes.
Okay, Paul Thoreau has some information about Windows 10 1709 update of media creation tool. This goes back to October. So I'm going to check and see what he's got.
I'm looking at Microsoft support here, and it says the build number of the MCT file itself displayed in properties has no reference to the build number of the Windows 10 it is downloading.
Makes sense.
Other than presumably the highest number in both cases would be the latest version, but you can't tell anything from the number.
At one time, there was a way that supposedly the media creation tool, they were different sizes. And depending on when you downloaded it, that was the version of the build you were going to get. That may have changed.
What you can do apparently, when you run the media creation tool, there's a products.xml file created in C /Windows yada sources. In that file, you will find the directories that the ISO files are downloaded from.
So that's what we'd have to check.
Right. You have to cross-index that against the cumulative update that came out on that date, so. Sounds like it's more trouble than it's worth.
The media creation tool?
Yeah, it is.
No, trying to determine which version you're going to get before you get it.
Yeah, it
Sounds like the easiest way is to install it and see what it is.
Yeah.
It is. This is at 96% right now.
And if you don't like it, click on this first line here,
Yeah,
where it says change your product key or.
change your edition of Windows. Now, if you did that, because if you change your edition of Windows, I'm going to go over here to computer number 2. Okay, right here, like Joe said, change product key or upgrade your edition of Windows. That would cost money. We don't want to do that.
Okay, I got mine running.
You got your what?
My download is running.
Good.
20%.
So when you say your downloader, you download the media creation tool, or you?
Yeah, downloading Windows 10 update. Please wait.
Okay, so you
So-
get the upgrade. Windows 10 update.
So are you getting 1709, or do you know?
I'm supposed to be getting 1709.
Great. So that's working for you.
I think so.
So I wonder why they're trying to charge you at the house. Don't know.
I was probably on another site I shouldn't have been on.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
that can happen real easily. So do I need to finish this? I'm going to have to, because I can't click on back or next. It's at 41%. Well, while it's working, I'll leave it in the background. So anyway, back over to this machine I was talking about, which is on computer number 2. Okay. Is that right? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. Okay. I'm going to back out of that. So anyway, to reiterate, I mentioned about going to HP, help and support, and creating the recovery media creation tool. That's a one-time shot. You can also buy the discs, but I wouldn't buy them. I'd use that tool to create those. I don't have CDs up here with me, or I'd do that. And of course, the next thing I need to do, now I need to go download. What's that program we like for cloning? Macrium?
Reflect, just reflect it.
Macrium Reflex,
Yeah.
the free version. So I'm going to download for home use. Reflect download. Install the program, and even though I don't have any separate media, I could back up or image the drive if I chose to. Downloads, I'll let that go ahead and occur. It'll ask me about the PE, so I'm going to go ahead and download that.
Would Macrium allow you to back that up to a NAS drive?
If you can map the drive so you can see it as a drive letter, you should be able to.
Is it, as far as you know, is there anything that would prevent it from being able to see it?
If the drive needs to be mapped.
Okay.
As long as the drive is mapped as a drive.
Well, when you install, I haven't ever installed an NAS drive, but
I wish
can you match
Robert,
it to each machine? I mean, map it to each machine?
it depends on how they're set up. Some you FTP to them. This has to be a mapped drive on the machine. If it's a mapped drive, it should see it.
Okay.
If Robert Collier was here, he could talk to you more about that because he's done quite a bit of that.
All cornering.
Yeah, call him and ask him. He'll be glad to tell you about it. Did you have something, Joe?
Yeah, can you show mine a second?
Yeah, let's go back over to number
When
one.
you're on a Windows, try to solve a Windows problem, and you think you're on a Windows site, and you see this word recommended in order to repair, what that means is that they recommend you do this because it's going to cost you money,
Yes.
and Microsoft makes money.
Yep.
So the word recommended immediately should turn you off on that site.
Because they see you coming, and they're going to be ready to take your credit card. Okay, on the creating media tool, we're at 80%, and on the other machine where we're downloading Macrium Reflect, we're at about 50%. So both tools we're waiting on while we're talking about all this stuff. The next week is when I want to spend the time to talk about cloning, imaging, backup, and you know, I could map a drive on one of these machines and take that data I'm doing and stick it on another machine. So whatever kind of network attached storage you've got, you cannot just access it like an FTP. You've got to have that drive mapped on the machine. And if you map the drive, you can write to it. Macrium shouldn't care as long as it sees the drive.
When you go to make your boot rescue disk for Macrium, that's keyed to the individual computer that it was done on, correct?
Run that by me again.
I don't think so.
Can we get a mic on Dwayne so we can hear him? Thank
I'll
you.
go and huddle with him.
He's coming. Which one? Okay, thank you.
Yes, well, if you watch your Macrium create that disk, you'll see it's downloading the specific drivers for your computer.
So it is specific. Okay, so
Yes.
why could we create a bootable USB drive from this download of Macrium that would work on any machine that had a bootable USB?
I don't think you can because it's...
No, remember, I've said before that every time you change Macrium, the reflect number, you got to get a new boot disk.
Yeah, no, I know,
So,
but
so they're not necessarily backward compatible.
this thing you download that he's downloading right now, as it comes down, will back up or restore any macro file, right?
To this disk, or to whatever that computer he's downloading from.
Okay, so when he downloads it, it's tailoring itself to that specific piece of
Yes.
hardware.
Because like he says, they're downloading specific drivers.
Okay.
We're going to click on next. Let's go to computer number 2. Click on next. Copying files, copying PE components. And this is a good idea to create this install disk. I'm not going to because I don't have the media. Now while that's downloading, let's go back over to computer number 3. Your USB flash drive is ready, so I'll click on finish. That says that may take a few minutes. That was pretty quick. I'm going to look at that disk, and it's back like I had it, but it's got the new version, whatever that's all about. Before I had x86 and 64-bit. Now it's all one. It's all just 64-bit, and it's ready to go. The amount of space it took up, 3.54 gigs. And according to that machine, that's Windows 10 Pro. This laptop, Windows 10 Home. Notice the file system USB drive, FAT32. What I should have done is created that disk so it could be 64-bit Home or Pro. But it interrogated according to that machine, and it set itself up for 64-bit Pro. If I wanted to upgrade the laptop to Pro, I'm ready. But that's a new key. And what I don't know is, if I want to put it on this drive, I'd rather do that on a new drive, a clean drive, and preserve all this stuff. Now, machine. Back over to this machine. I'll let you guys get it. Thank you. Okay, welcome to the setup. Accept EULA. Have to, whether I like it or not. What free edition license do you require? It's ironic when you download that, they ask you home or business, and they'd ask me this again, which I find curious. But anyway, there's the key.
If you say business, they're going to charge you for it.
Try. They'd like to. I think they give you a little bit of time to try it for a while. Would you like to register for now? Not really. Okay, install desktop shortcut. Hyper-V, I don't need that. Install for all users. So this is a 64-bit application, so let's go ahead and install it. Does it give you any kind of an idea of time, how long it's going to take to download that? Did it say? Okay, depending on how you have your machine set up, if you look at the configuration, it'll either be looking at other computers it sees on the network you're on. It may try to pull parts from them, or it may pull from other computers within your network. If you go with the default, it'll pull from wherever it can find it. So Macrim Reflect, we can launch it now. It wants to register. Not going to do that right now, don't need to. Registered it before. So I cannot clone the disk because I do not have another disk to clone to. I could image or backup, and if I chose to image, you know, it boils down to what do I want to image. Well, all I need is my data. And if all I'm pulling is my data and it'll fit on a memory stick, I don't need a backup program to do that because all I'm going to do is copy it. So it depends on how much I want to do and what my end game is. Something to think about. But if I wanted to back that drive up, I could image the disk. And if I image the disk, we'll give it a folder name. HP Envy. Now I can put it on a burner, back up the image as the file name, so we'll give it a date.
It does that automatically.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Haven't done that lately. Okay, so HP Envy 17T. We'll go to next. Path syntax is invalid. So let's go find a folder, we'll put it in.
You gotta put a drive letter and so forth.
I'm gonna give it, go to downloads. I'll just put it under downloads. So it fills,
Oh, your downloads is in your C drive, right?
right.
I'm not sure it'll do that. You
Let's
ought
take
to
a-
put it in a partition that's not,
Oh, that's not the C drive.
yeah.
Yeah, I can put it in the rescue partition, but I don't have enough space in there for that. So I need an external drive. Now, 1.52 gigs free. It might fit. Anyway, I don't need to, but I could. So if we were to go to the other drive, which would be the recovery drive folder, backup file name, use the image ID as the file name. So if I were to click on next, the destination path is included in the image. So I need a separate drive, which I don't have right now. So cannot image the drive, but I could. Cannot clone, cannot image, but I could backup. And
You can image, but you just can't store it on the same drive.
right, I need another drive.
Right.
Can't image the whole thing, so I'm going to exit out of that. So when I come in next week, I'll have a separate drive that I can plug in that'll give me enough space. And the amount of space we need would be something that will accommodate that. So if I put in, say, a 500 gig SSD, it'll do it. It'll give us an idea of time-wise as well. So Macrium Reflect, you can't beat it. Good program to have, good thing to know about. Any questions about Macrium? Does that kind of help answer some of the questions you were asking, Ben, about the disks? Because if there's any more about it, let me know so we have time we can talk about it so we can pull it up and show it. I'm going to go back over here to build or buy. Some of the other stuff we had from last week, I want to instead take you right up to YouTube and show you what we've got on build or buy. I've got build or buy laid out so it's easy to see. There have been a couple of links up, one about a laptop buying guide, my opinion, of course, as Joe would say. And then I've also got a video up about this laptop, a bang for the buck laptop, fairly short. And I've got the one up before that we did about the Ryzen and the WX7100 video card. Then I've got the behind the scene for those that are interested. There's a new video up there. And it's also easy if you look up here in the upper right for Pat's Piano to log on to that. So. And I would appreciate for those that are interested to subscribe. Thumbs up if you find any of the stuff we've been doing helpful. And now that you've got your computer up and running, how far are you? Does it still say upgrading?
It's verifying.
Verifying.
Yeah.
Does it say how far along it is in the process?
No.
So you don't know if you're halfway there or...
True.
So you don't know if it's going to be like 10 minutes or 20 minutes?
Or 2 hours.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't take that long. Joe, when he did his up here, we did that, what, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
It was pretty quick. Very quick. In fact, if we'd have let it go just another 5 minutes with the video stream, we'd have had everything
Yeah. And
on the
then
video.
I just shut it down, but when I turned it on at home, it had finished.
It had finished. Wow. That's pretty good.
How I did it without power, I don't know.
Can't beat it. So I showed you a little bit about this new laptop that I think is a good deal for the money, and I've showed you about this new Asus Republic of Gamers Strix, which is a $1,500 laptop. If anybody else gets a new laptop and wants us to talk about it, I think we should always be reevaluating. For example, what Jim's going to get, I hope you'll have that next week so we can talk about it.
Not sure.
You haven't gotten that far. what may be bang for the buck for one person may not be bang for the buck for another person. For example, let me just, as an example, I'm going to go to Costco and show you. Costco.com. I'm going to go to all departments. We'll go to computers. And let's just for grins go to desktops just for a minute, because the first thing I'm going to look at is the processor. Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Threadripper, there are 2. Ryzen 7, there are 6. The one Ryzen that was bang for the buck is now still available. It's this high performance. This is now $800. And back when we talked about this, what was it, $500 or $600? Same computer, that was bang for the buck, but the price has gone up. Okay, I'm going to back out and go look at the laptops. Computers, laptops, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to look according to the processor. Like I said, you change one thing, changes everything. Not a one of those has a Ryzen listed in it. 88 with the i7. So if I looked at the i7 first, and if I looked at the computer screen type, touch screen or non-touch screen, and then if I say computer type, and to me that's a misnomer, a gaming laptop versus a laptop. It might be something so minute as to say it's got a little bit better video, but yet some of the other specs, if we were to get down and nitpick, might not be as high performance as some of these just straight laptops. So that to me kind of difficult to define. The operating system, again, I prefer Pro, but I wouldn't let that be a deal breaker. If we look at the RAM, for me, I want 16 gigs of RAM in a machine minimum. And for a laptop, that's plenty. So I've made 3 choices. And if I change any one of those, it changes all this. And now here's the one that got me. I'm interested in a 17-inch screen. Jim Fallon, you were looking at one that had a what? A 14-inch?
14.
Yeah. And if I looked at a 14-inch here, based on the other things I've pre-selected, I'm looking at 3. But if I'm looking at a 17-inch, I'm looking at 20. Well, when I looked at this laptop, I narrowed it down to 3, and now I'm looking at 20. Asus, Acer, MSI, HP, you name it. And this is just one place, one vendor. And right here at $800. In fact, right here in the middle of 3. $800, $800, and a $950. And this $950, I don't think it's worth the money. I think this $800 one's a better deal for the money. Here's another HP Envy. 2 gig video versus 4 gig video. To me, I think it's worth the extra money for the 4 gig video.
Gil,
Yes.
what do you have to say about Leo Laporte's position on laptops? Is that it's a waste of money to buy anything beyond an i5 because of the thermal throttling and the fact that the way the laptop deals with excess heat is it turns down the processor.
Depends on what you're trying to do with it. Depends on what you want. We've always said buy as much as you can afford, because hardware is fixed in a laptop, whereas software changes. For me, I want a laptop that I can do specific things that may not be necessary for somebody else. So there again, I'm looking for an i7. I would rather have a Ryzen. But if you're taking that issue that you're talking about, which is a valid issue, and you get an i5, that changes everything. But for me, I want an i7.
If it throttles, is there any objective evidence that it really throttles it that much? I mean, do we really know?
Usually when a laptop is running, it's at idle anyway. How many actually push a processor? Remember, I'm looking at a laptop I can render with. So I want 4 cores, 8 threads. If I get a Ryzen, I double that. I go 8 cores, 16 threads. That's a desktop machine. That I can do that with a laptop.
Well, I would think that, somebody like yourself, if that laptop is going to throttle because of heat, it would do it on the things you're doing.
It would show up. He also runs CPU something or other on your machines.
Yeah, I don't have it on this laptop
Or it
yet.
would show up if it's throttling.
Oh, okay.
I can't quote you chapter and verse anymore, but when I was buying this Dell, I read several things that showed significant throttling took place on the higher speed chips, which was the reason I had the super special paste job done on it. And they quoted how much longer it could run before it started throttling, but I don't remember what the figures were.
Okay, the 8 gadget pack, I'll do it on this machine right quick. Let's go to computer number 2. Flip that over. I'm going to download the 8 gadget pack, and this is 8 gadget pack setup.msi. And getting the machine set up to run is just that. I haven't gotten to the point of customizing it. Some of the stuff I wanted to walk through with Manolo to help him. I haven't even set this for networking yet. And that's typically the first thing I do is open up a machine so all my stuff can see each other. So I don't have to keep what I'm doing right now. I'd pull this off another drive. So I'm going to install the 8 gadget pack. And that's an 8 gadget pack setup.msi file. Now, once I get this installed and the gadgets are running, then I'm going to show the gadgets. I'm going to install the tool that Joe was talking about. Close that, bring that down. The gadgets ought to pop up here on the right side. It'll have a whole bunch more stuff running than I want. I'll shut down the sidebar as soon as it's up. Didn't show up. There it is. Okay, I'll leave the clock. I'm going to get rid of the clipboard. I can move the clock over. Temperature. I'm going to close the sidebar. Now, I'm going to put the all CPU meter over here. And as I'm using this, configure this to get this a little bit bigger. Okay, shows I've got it's actually 4 cores, 8 threads. And as I'm poking around, the other thing I want to do is keep everything sized so I can see this. And the other thing I want to do when I'm rendering is, of course, remember to bring up the task manager. And I can do it this way. The task manager will show me how much CPU is being used. It'll also show me how much GPU is being used. And keep an eye on that and see what's going on. And if anything's throttling when I'm rendering, I'll know.
You can add core temp to your mix and it'll actually show the degrees on your CPU chart there.
Core temp?
Core temp, yeah.
Core temp. Email a copy of that to myself. Compact, no fuss, small footprint, yet powerful program to monitor processor temperature and other vital information. Core temp goes mobile. Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good program. I've been using it, but since my laptop overheats all the time, I turn it off because it just makes me feel bad. And I can't do anything about it because I'm not gonna, it's a 7 or 8 year old laptop, and I'm not gonna tear it apart to repaste it. So.
Does it need to be repasted, or does it just need to be cleaned?
Have you blown it out with
I've blown it out and done all that, and it still runs hot. But it doesn't seem to run hot enough to shut off. So why worry about it? I mean, you know, when it dies, and then I'll buy a machine like Jack's. Which, by the way, Jack, the new 9570, I believe is what they call it, is coming out, and they're going to put in the full 4-lane PCI.
I don't want to know.
And they're also going to increase possibly the resolution of the screen.
Tell me, Jack.
And when will that be out?
Early 18.
Going to be 8K now, huh?
No, I think they're talking about 5K.
Well, you know, really, you might want to take the time to repaste it.
Yeah, but I've looked at the instructions on what it takes to repaste it, and it's a bitch to get into it. Unfortunately, if it were a year newer, it's very easy to get into it, but the 2010 version I have, you got to tear everything apart to get there. So I'm not prepared to do that. We'll just let it burn itself out.
So how far are you away from buying a new laptop? You're going to wait till 2018?
Well,
15
this is
degrees.
embarrassing because what I'm doing now, because I've got that loose power cable on the front, I've got the machine taped up with black electrical tape.
You're not vacillating, are you?
No, I'm waiting for the perfect laptop, but that's my excuse anyway. And so the damn thing's all taped up, and I have to keep it open there, and you know, but it's still running, and maybe when they come out with this new perfect machine, I'll go for it.
I'm going to drag this over and put it next to the other program. Compare the information. Check Intel for driver updates. So I'm watching the cores and see what's going on. I'm watching the power. When I install one of the applications to do some rendering, I'll let you know and see what it does. I'll probably put DaVinci Resolve on here.
You can minimize your core temp and set your CPU usage under your settings to read it, and it'll just add a column for temperature.
Here under this program?
Yeah, if you right-click that or click on Options and Alert someplace, it'll show you where you can.
See, right there, show CPU temps.
CPU temperatures. Core temp?
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
That should do it.
Okay.
You can also set it so that it shows in the bottom right-hand corner. Well, you've got too many cores, it would get messy. I've only got 2 cores on mine, but it'll show the core temperature down in the bottom of the taskbar.
You've only got 2 cores.
It's a 2010
Yeah.
i5. I mean, you know.
Smoking.
Hey, listen, since I got the SSD, I mean,
You're happy right now?
Speed-wise, it's fine, although it's about maybe half the speed of my desktop.
But it breathed new life into that laptop.
Oh, it did. It really did, yeah.
So I'll drop that down. We'll keep an eye on that. And I'll let you know. I'm curious. I'll compare that to a desktop. I'll do the same thing to a desktop, and I'll watch it.
You can also set it for centigrade if you want to, which ties in better with the CPU specs.
Well, the centigrade, that's what the default was. I changed it to Fahrenheit
Oh, okay.
because I'm not a centigrade guy.
I'm not either, but usually the chip specs are in centigrade, so I can.
True. I'm a Fahrenheit kind of person. I don't know if I can fry eggs on it. It's interesting, the cores don't run all at the same temperature from 122 degrees down to 127 degrees.
You could also change that to a Rolex if you want.
That's true. I should at least put a second hand on there.
You did.
There we go. To do the Rolex, though, I have to download something else. But I should do that. So anyway.
Oh, I did find one thing on the laptop in keeping it cool. If you take the battery out, and run it strictly off
the power,
that helps. But the problem is if you have a cord like that, mine that's shaky, with a minute it jiggles out, then the computer goes off. So I've had to put the battery back in.
Details.
Actually, this battery's dead. The battery, this thing won't run on battery.
Yeah.
Battery's 9
Strictly
years
off
old.
power.
I finally bought a second battery, but even if you use the battery, it'll run about an hour at the most, the very most. Yeah.
Interesting. Does anybody have any more questions today? Nobody? Okay, remember next week we're going to be doing cloning, imaging, and backup. I'm going to keep that short because there's some other stuff that we didn't get to today that I want to talk about next week. My big deal today was to talk a little bit about laptops, more than we have in the past. But I want to see how quickly through that USB-C port that's going to show us it'll clone whether we finish it or not. So how are you doing on your Windows install? 80%. 80%. Okay, so the amount of time you've got, probably about 20 minutes. So you'll get to sit there and watch while we pack up.
Well,
Joe?
good. Why are you hiding your camera?
Why am I what? Oh, why am I hiding the camera? Well, I'm concerned in case the machine were to, I'm not sure people would want to see me on the internet
Yeah.
in my shorts and flip-flops. So that's why I put a piece of tape over that. You like my technology?
Oh yeah, that's high tech.
Very high tech. It's painter's tape, blue painter's tape.
Okay, we need a drawing.
We got something to do for the drawing. Okay, do you have that program on your machine, Joe, for the drawing?
I don't know, what's the program's name?
I believe it was, yeah, random number generator. We had a link to a site.
No. I can, hang on, let me pick one up.
It's a lot easier to get to now
Yeah,
than it
no,
was.
if I put that random number generator on here and win, that's gonna look fishy.
Details.
We don't care, just so it doesn't smell fishy.
How many do we have today?
One, oh,
Has everybody signed in? 19. Have you got the link up, Joe? Are you still trying to get it?
I'm just gotta get it typed in there, so let me, random number generator.
Hadn't seen that one. That's shopping something. Yeah, random.org. That should work.
Okay, how many, what's the max number? 17.
Who's number 17? Jay
You got
Alberts. Congratulations.
Got it? You got the toaster.
Okay, so does anybody have any more questions? No more questions? Folks, thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to seeing you next week. Every week it's a little bit something different. Remember, this was live. Y'all have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you and appreciate your support. Please subscribe. Builder Boss signing off.
Again, the prize was from John Lum. Okay to pull the plug?